Yvette Cooper's plans to smash the small boat gangs is doomed to fail, warn border false whistleblowers. I'm going to read into this piece from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline that Yvette Cooper's plans to smash the small boat gangs is doomed to fail, warn the border force whistleblowers. The Home Office officials and border staff tell Byline Times that the plan to tackle small boat crossings is little more than a rebranding exercise. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Well, so all this talk about, tough talking from Yvette Cooper, and it seems like those on the board, those who have been on the front line of dealing with this crisis are pretty much saying it's just rhetoric, it's just talk, it's not really going to make much of a difference. And obviously time will tell, and Labour will be judged on it. I've said that I am willing to give benefit of the doubt and see if this Labour government will actually deal with this situation. But as long as there is no safe legal routes for people to come to the UK, there will always be these gangs. There will always be these small boat crossings. There will always be people trying to smuggle themselves into trucks and whatnot to get through through the Eurotunnel and whatnot. There will always be people trying to do that because, once again, as I said, unless we have safe legal routes, people will take illegal routes because they simply cannot get on a plane because they don't have a visa or a passport to come to the UK. This is the thing. So, unless of course you are Ukrainian or Hong Kong, then there's a safer legal route for them. But if you're any other nation, you can't apply. And by the way, don't give me the BS rhetoric that this country is full, because that's nonsense as well. But recently, obviously, Keir Starmer was in Italy looking at taking ideas from Melody's right-wing government to see how they deal with immigration on their end. And I've said this openly. I don't have a problem with him looking at ideas. My problem is whether he's going to implement those ideas. I know one person was saying about like why is Keir Starmer looking at that one in particular? Well, it's not like you can tell him to go and have a look at the Mexico-US border and see how they deal with that. It's not the same concept. It's not the same geography. Yes, it's not the same geography with us in Europe as well, but we are tied to Europe. We are tied to this whole immigration crisis that's taken place across Europe as well, because, we may be out of the EU, but we are still European. We're still on the shore of France. So there is that as well, I think. But I do think that they will try to get a grip on this, but there will obviously the main thing that they will do is dealing with the backlogs first and foremost. But unless you're prepared to have a legal routes for people to come and claim asylum, or claim sanctuary in the UK, you will always have these small gangs. You will always have men, women, and children crossing on these boats with their lives at risk here. And you'll always have that until we have create safe legal routes. This will be a continuous cycle, sadly. It's just a case of whether there'll be more or less on this. So let's read into this piece. So, within days of taking office, the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper had announced that he would launch the launch of a new border security command, which was promised would smash the gangs, making millions out of small boat crossings. It's not going to stop the small gangs. It may reduce them, may make it tough for them, but it won't stop them. Language is almost cut and paste from the rhetoric of the last Conservative government, which it has itself put in place a unit to tackle smuggling networks to little effect. So is Labour's plan any different? Some of those working in the Home Office and on the border are far from impressed. It's a rebranding exercise, one disgruntled border force official told this paper following Cooper's announcement. It's been tried and tested multiple times and ways before, not least with the small boats commander Dan O'Mahony in 2020. It's all about showing the public that they mean business, that they know full well it will never work. We need practical solutions so people keep dying in our waters, but as usual, it's all about politics. More than 50 people have died attempting to cross the channel so far this year, with a dozen losing their lives last week alone. Despite all the deterrent, smugglers have continued to succeed in getting around the UK-funded beach patrols and surveillance technology. Boats have become more overcrowded, with the number of passengers crammed on board typically doubling what they were a year ago. Meanwhile, migrants are forced to start their journeys further along the coastline in order to make a longer and more precarious crossing. They are boarding dinghies in estuaries and canals and wading into our water, despite many being unable to swim. As a result, their bodies have been discovered washed up on the banks and beaches after attempting to reach the taxi boats stationed beyond the shoreline. Everyone agrees that something needs to be done to prevent further loss of life. However, rather than expanding resettlement programs, creating a functional family reunion pathway, or creating additional safe routes, the new government, like the old one, has put all of its bets on yet more border security. Earlier this week, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer made a visit to Italy to learn the lessons from his far-right counterpart, Giorgia Meloni, whose plans to offshore the processing of climate claims to Albania. At the press conference following the meeting, Meloni told reporters that Starmer was very interested in the offshore processing scheme. He is also very interested in examining ways to replicate Italy's border model, which has seen the number of boat crossings cut by almost 2/3 last year. However, little was said to reports about the tactics Italy used to achieve these, some of which have been condemned by human rights groups as unlawful and inhumane. Meanwhile, sitting alongside the Prime Minister in Rome and the newly appointed Border Security Commander Martin Hirek, the former head of the National Police Chief Council, the Home Secretary, said that Hirek's appointment showed that the government was making serious attempts rather than the gimmicks and presidential politics of the Conservatives. Not everybody views it that way, however. It's a rinse and repeat of what has been seen before and will not yield much, one border force official said of Hirek's appointment. How do you expect to do things differently when you put the same people with the same background experience in the same role? We need someone with a deep understanding of marine time in the role. At least Dan Mahoney had a border force and marine background. Now we got someone with less experience at the top and approach is the same. I expect he will be less effective. The Home Office are continuing to roll out the plans of space. A few hours after the Starmer Melody press conference, the department announced a cash injection of $75 million for the Border Security Command. The fund will be rediverted from the pots of money set aside from the scrap to run the plan, and said it would be additional officers, including 100 special investigators within the National Crime Agency, along with equipment and state-of-the-art technology such as covert cameras. Under Hewitt's watchword, the new command plans to increase their inter-agency working with officials from the NCA, Intelligence Agency, Police, Immigration Enforcement, and Border Force coordinate efforts with Europol and European police forces to disrupt supply chains, identify individuals and prosecute them swiftly. There really hasn't been serious coordinated law enforcement involved in countries right across Europe all the way along, in which boats are being brought in a way in which the engines are being put together, coordinate right along that way criminal gangs operate. That has not been done before, Yvette Cooper told BBC. Yeah, it may sound impressive, however, her own staff appeared to disagree. Inter-agency working nationally and internationally isn't anything new. It's just never been very successful, one senior Home Office official had told me. The crucial thing for me is that whether anyone in law enforcement has called for this, it is not clear that they have. We've had a lot of back work and forth within the Home Office over the years about the structural arrangements for border security and migrant crossing, the official added. Border Force and Immigration Enforcement have formed a unit briefly, but there's always tension between the Director Generals, so that didn't really work. Presently, it sounds good, but I'm not anticipating that much will change. The Home Office spokesperson insisted the new measures were a step beyond what had previously been tried. The new Border Security Command will go further than before to unite government agencies, police and international partners to share intelligence and smash the people smuggling gang, the spokesperson said. We've already injected £75 million into the BSC to deliver new cutting-edge technology and extra officers deployed to the NCA, ensuring that we have the tools needed to go after the gangs and tackle the dangerous boat crossings. It's, yeah, and they've those on the front lines, those who have been dealing with this, know better. If they say that this is not going to make much of a difference, then it probably isn't going to make much of a difference. I hope they are wrong, and I hope it does make a difference, in all seriousness. And I am inclined to hold my breath and give Labour the opportunity to prove me and prove them wrong. Time will tell, of course, obviously. Like I said, it's only been a couple of months since they've been in power, and it's only been like recently coming back from Parliament they can actually start getting things going. So we'll, like I said, we'll see in the next 6 months to a year how they have dealt with migration, because it will be something that the right wing and the media will never shut up about. So if the numbers end up going down, then they can say that we've brought them down. If the numbers stay the same, then they've not done anything. If the numbers go up, then it will be a great deal of frustration on their part. But I would take what whistleblowers are saying very, very seriously as well, because especially if they know a lot better than we do on this topic, guys. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of this piece from Byline Times? Do you honestly think that Labour government aren't going to be able to make any difference? Is it just no different to them? Maybe they have another plan that we don't know about that they're going to be implementing. What do you guys honestly think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. If you want to go one step further, financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for just 99p, or you can join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.